Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner, and I have two very special guests with me here today. The first one is Vania Arsby, she's a senior, and Jalen Mitchell, who is a junior, and they're both from Booker T. Washington High School, and you're members of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. Welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you.
See, I'm glad to have you guys, to have you on to have a nice conversation about what you are doing. So I'll start with you, Vania. What is the Superintendent Student Advisory Council and what is its purpose?
The Superintendent Advisory Council is essentially a way for the students to be able to voice their opinion and have their seat at the table and have some input on the decisions made.
That's great. And so, Jalen, how many students are on the council and how often do you all meet?
So there are 20 students altogether, 4 from each of the 5 high schools, and we do 1 from each grade, and we meet once a month.
Okay. So what exactly do you do when you meet? What's the purpose, Vania?
Well, when we meet, we usually talk about our grievances with things that are going on in our school, talk about our proposals, things that we want to do, ideas, mentoring programs, communication, things like that, safety, security issues.
You want to add to that, Jalen?
Yeah, and then we talk about things that actually work inside of our buildings. So if it works inside of our building, it might work inside of somebody else's. So we've spoken about some of the positive things and outcomes that we've done, some positive reinforcement in order for the students to be able to say, yeah, I did it. Now I get prize.
Right. So what encouraged you to want to join the council?
I always felt like I would work well with, just having, like I've always had a lot of ideas, things I wanted to implement in my own school. There were things that I wanted to change and things I felt like could change within other schools, ideas that I had that I feel like would work with other schools. And
What about you, Jalen?
Well, I'm actually on the principal's advisory at my school now. And so when the opportunity came up to be on the superintendent's advisory, I was like, and so I just, I've always wanted to lead in some form or capacity, and yeah.
Right, so tell us, Vania, about the selection process. What was that like?
Really, all that happened was I was called down to the principal's office, and she asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, sure, it sounds great.
Oh, that was simple.
I'd love to.
How about for you, Jalen?
Well, like I said, I was already on the principal's advisory, and so she mentioned about the superintendent's advisory. I was like, okay, I'll think about it. She was like, it's time to make your decision. And I would say yes, so yeah. So each school, there's a counselor, your principal, assistant principal recommends you, and then you can accept or deny that recommendation, and that's how we select our 4 from each school.
For school, right. So what have you learned that's kind of surprised you about being on this council, Vania?
I would not say that I was really surprised by anything. I got exactly what I thought I would get out of it. There were a lot of great ideas coming in from the kids, a lot of great ideas coming in from the adults as well. It worked just about as much as I thought it would, and yeah, so I wasn't really surprised by anything.
So what have you learned that may have surprised you?
I've learned a lot. One thing being that every school has their challenges, but every school has something positive going for them. And some schools have the same things going for them great, and some things we still have to work on. And that's just an everyday type of situation, and which I actually didn't know. I thought either the school had all issues or they had all sunshine and sun rays, but that's not the case. So there are things that we can take as the students to the superintendent that sometimes she won't be able to see because she's not in the classroom with us. There are things inside of our schools that we're able to bring to her, positive and negative, that therefore she can implement some new things and implement, great, better ideas.
Are there some things about Dr. Boone, Vania, that surprised you?
Well, I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I had never met her before, For a while, I didn't even know who her superintendent was. So when I met her, it was all,
Right.
When I met her, it was all very new to me. So I wasn't necessarily surprised, but I was just taking in, who she was as a person. She's very sweet, very down to earth, very understanding, caring. So yeah, I like her a lot. She's great.
Yeah. What surprised you about Dr. Boone?
Nothing really. I mean, I knew Dr. Boone through school events and things, so she's really a sweet lady, like Vania said, down to earth. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be glad to hear that you said that.
One thing that did surprise me is, you know, if you notice with people who are usually higher up, they tend not to, at least with everything going on, they might not look down at what everybody else has to say. But I think as superintendent, it surprised me that she took initiative to start this student advisory council so we would be able to voice our opinions and, yeah.
And the good part about our advisory council is next year, the same students who were on the council this year, except for the seniors because they're graduating,
Yes.
they'll be back next year, and then we'll add 4 new freshmen to come onto the board so that they can have their voice heard as well.
All right, well, I definitely need to hear from you. What do you think about the superintendent having the student advisory council? What do you think about her doing this?
I mean, I appreciate it a lot. I mean, I can't even put in words how much I appreciate it because it's not often that you get to have a say in what they do. It just feels like we have a lot more power now as students and as leaders, student leaders in particular, to make sure things go right and to make sure we can care for our school the way we want to.
How about you, Jalen?
I think my biggest thing is that change can be made. I have a lot of friends in different school districts who superintendent doesn't really speak to them. And so for her to create this council so that she can get direct input is something special. It shows that she wants the change to be made. It shows that we want the change to be made. And together we're going to make that change happen.
Yeah, it feels great to know that our superintendent cares about us to be so available and there for us and, you know, create a whole, you know, meeting and group so she can make sure that she gets to care for her students as best possible in the most efficient way possible.
So what advice would you give other students considering joining the Student Advisory Council?
Me?
Yeah, both of you.
Okay, you go first.
Oh, can we go first? Okay. I mean, take down some notes about what you think you want to change, make up some proposals, just so you can have a jump start for what's coming up next year, get to know some of the students in different schools. Yeah.
Always have a solution. You can bring up as many things as you want to bring up, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a solution to fix it,
Yeah, got to have that plan.
yeah, right. Because
That plan.
So
we
come
want-
prepared.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be the first
That's
thing.
the
Oh,
biggest
we have
thing.
this problem. Okay, well, what do you want to do to fix it?
Right. Because at the end of the day, she's coming to us not only for what we need to fix, but how do we fix it? Because things are different, you know, now than what they were when she was in school.
So you're discussing problems, challenges, and solutions.
Right. I mean, because like I said, everything's different, you know, from even 5 years ago to now. Technology changes, the classroom environment changes. All of these factors come into, okay, how can we fix this issue now? It might have been one way we could have fixed it then, but how can we do it now?
Exactly. Well, I'm glad you all had an opportunity to serve on this council, and I'm glad to have you on the show so we can let parents and the community know just what you all are doing with this organization. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And we want you to stay tuned for more NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Sutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today in the studio we have 2 special guests. We have the head coach for Granby High School softball, Coach Genevieve Weaver. Welcome. And she has brought her senior player, Haley Grindstaff. Welcome. So let's talk about, we're going to start with you, Haley, and talk about the position that you play for Granby.
I am a pitcher and utility player, but for the most part, I pitch, alternating with Cameron Anderson.
Okay, so in softball, pitching is a really big position, the prime position to have a successful softball team, and you guys are very successful. So talk a little bit about how you got involved as a pitcher growing up in the development.
Well, when I was little, I used to watch the World Series on TV, and I would always watch Alabama. And then I started playing ball when I was about 7, but I started pitching because I was watching them, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I used to like watch them and then run outside and try to like repeat what they were doing and then run back in and do that. And then when I was about 12, I started like I got my first pitching coach and started really getting into
Okay.
it.
So, Coach, you know, she just said something. She got her own pitching coach. A lot of successful softball pitchers have a private coach. So, how has that helped with you in coaching?
Well, what's amazing was pitching was one of the positions that I never played actively. I played a lot of different positions. I was mainly a shortstop. So for them to have personal instruction, especially now with so many different pitches that they can do, I mean, they can throw as many pitches a game as a baseball player could play. And there's some things that my expertise doesn't reach. So for them to be able to do that and perform on the field with those kinds of pitches has made them absolutely successful. And a lot of the times, not only are they getting that personal instruction, but they're also pitching on their own. So I know that when they leave me at practice, they're going to lessons where they're pitching for another hour. And both her and Cam take probably 2 or 3 extra days out of the week, if not more, where they're pitching on top of our high school practice.
Okay.
So.
All right, so that's a benefit
Absolutely,
to you and the
absolutely.
program.
Not only for our program, but for them individually. I know that they're getting stronger, they're improving their game, and I can see it throughout the season. They're very vocal about different pitches when they warm up, different pitches that they do. And the other thing that benefits me is the other pitchers in our lineup that may not necessarily have that extra instruction. More often than not, I will see both of my pitchers help improve the pitchers that are later on in the line. And so
Okay.
I see them helping with pitches like screwballs, you know, how do you hold the ball, how do you improve? So not only are they improving themselves, but they're improving my whole pitching staff.
Okay. So Haley, let's talk a little bit about, you know, some challenges that you may have, and you're hearing impaired. So, so talk a little bit about that. You know, how do you overcome that, is it a challenge?
Well, I was born with it, so I don't really know much else. But it does affect me on the field, mostly because I'm like much more visual, because I can't wear my hearing aids on the field because they cost too much. I can't like risk like stepping on them or something. And but it really affects me in the classroom. From the time that I was really little, my parents did a very good job of like getting me a speech therapist, and I would take classes where like teach me sign language just in case something were to go wrong later on. I did a lot of reading all the time to help that, because a lot of people with my type of hearing loss don't get very far with like education, like academically and everything. But yeah, so around middle school area is where it started to become noticeable, like if I was starting to fall behind, so I'd have to like push a lot more, study a lot more. But in high school, my teachers do a very good job of like
Great.
keeping everything on top, making sure that I'm all right. I sit in the front of the classroom in classrooms that have teachers with like a lower voice, and yeah, but I wear my hearing aids in school, so.
Okay. So,
that
Coach,
helps.
talk a little bit about how your players may react to this, or how they assist with some of her challenges that she mentioned.
We actually absolutely have conversations in certain situations. The thing that helps Haley, you know, she talks about how it may have been a disadvantage academically, but athletically, it is an advantage, I think, because she is very in tune with what's going on the field. A lot of the times as a coach, we are advising our players a lot of times what's going on the field, who's hitting, how fast are they, where are they on the bases, what the next step is. And because of that disadvantage, I absolutely see Haley take in the field and be a little more aware sometimes than players who have perfect hearing. So she is scouting the field. She'll do things sometimes because she's so aware that even more experienced players, that an experienced player does. So little things like if we have a runner on third, her always knowing where her runners are, because a lot of the times we communicate. That's a big thing in sports, especially on our field, in a team sport. Hey, we have a runner on first and third, we have 1 out, we have 2 out, she may bunt. She's always aware of that. She reads the game before we even need to communicate that to her. What we do as a team, which is amazing, is if there's certain situations, so one particular thing that we do a lot is if she isn't on the mound, she has a great arm, she plays in the outfield, balls that are past her, so where her back is turned, we will pause practice, and we absolutely remind her teammates that she needs to hear them. And we will specifically say, you know, you need, and not just her, but any teammate that may have a weakness, maybe they have a weaker arm or a stronger arm. We discuss those disadvantages and how as a team we can help make that a strength. So that particular incident, we'll pause, we'll talk to the team, I'll talk to the teammates, and I'm like, when Haley has her back turned and there's a runner moving around, she has to be able to hear you. Because a lot of the time she can read lips, or she's very in tune, she knows what's going on, hey, we have 2 outs. But in that particular situation, if her back's turned at any point, her teammates are like, we need to make sure Haley hears, hey, it's a cut to 3, it's a cut to 4, because her back is turned, and they're aware of that. So we take those extra steps to make sure in those situations where her vision can't be her guide, or you really need to hear, hey, the cut's now going to 3, or now the cut has gone to 4. She needs to know where that's going. So her teammates work with her on that, and they know, and we joke about it and stuff, and we're very friendly about it, just because now as a senior, we've gotten used to it, and we are our dialogue is funny, and now it's noted in a way that, you know, it's like, you're not going to hurt her feelings. She's been dealing with it her whole life, and she needs you guys as a team to help her make those plays because she can't hear you.
All right, so you talk about the team. So let's talk about how you're doing this season, and maybe if you want to recognize some other players. We'd love to bring other players on, but we only have one seat.
We have. We've been lucky in the sense that the program has been growing. We've been really lucky to have some really strong pitchers and some strong hitters in the last couple of years. This year, Haley made a good comment about alternating pitchers. You know, Cameron Anderson does really well if she's not on the mound than Haley is. They go back and forth, and you know, we work on those things to continue to back them up as a coach. You know, to back up that strength. We've been doing really, really well this season. There were a couple games where we fell a little short, and those are things that we've been working on. But as far as our goal for the season, we've been reaching for that, and we're as close as we can get to it going into this last part of our regular season. Looking forward to regionals. The girls are excited. I've talked about their goal and what their end goal is, and they're ready to go for that. We were just recently ranked. That's something that we look forward to every year, or at least strive to get to. I was a little worried whether or not we would reach it, but you know, we kept pushing through the season, and we were able to reach that goal too.
Well, you're the #1 seed going into the regional tournament. That's a great congratulations.
Thank you.
To you as a coach, and then Haley as a player. So Haley, talk a little bit about the future. You're going to finish softball. You're going to graduate from Granby High School. What's next?
I will be attending Davis and Elkins in the fall to play softball and to go there to study the elementary education. It's a really small school in West Virginia, but it's great. It's beautiful there, and the girls are like amazing.
Okay. So how'd that feel to get that scholarship to attend D&E?
Really good. Mostly because I've been looking to be able to play ball after high school for a long time, and so once I committed, I was like, hopefully I really actually like it there. But the moment I stepped foot on campus, everybody there was very polite and super, they're just very down-to-earth people, and the school is beautiful. So I just loved it, and it took a lot of pressure off in the game because knowing that this isn't going to be the last game that I play, or that I have somewhere that I'm going to be afterwards.
Well, that's awesome, and that's what it's all about. So good student equals, and a good athlete, you get that college scholarship. So good luck next year in that.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank both of you for being down here. Again, good luck in the upcoming regional tournament, and we hope Granby can advance as far as you can go.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
More NPS Now after this.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I have two very special seniors with us here today, Andrew Califano of Maury High School and Arturo Mendoza of Norview High School. Welcome, gentlemen, to NPS Now.
Thank you for having us.
And a pre-congratulations on graduation for the two of you.
Thank
so
you.
we want to know a little bit more about you because you were the student school board representative this school year. So we're going to talk about that too. But first, tell me a little bit about you, Andrew. How long have you been in NPS? Are you in any extracurricular activities? Just what do you do?
Well, I've been in NPS since my 6th grade year. I went to Blair Middle School, and then all throughout high school. My extracurriculars, I play baseball, which is pretty much year-round sport with winter baseball, fall baseball, spring baseball, summer baseball, all that. And then I do a couple of clubs at Moray, like Moray Pink Club, where we raise money for breast cancer patients around the community. Also, National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, just various clubs like that.
What's your career goals?
Hopefully to become a doctor. It's a reach, but that's the main goal right now.
Where are you going to school when you graduate?
University of Virginia.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Arturo, what about you?
Well, thank you for having us, and my name's Arturo Mendoza, as stated, and I've been in NPS since elementary school. I've been here since the 1st grade, so I'm going strong, just like 13 years now. Was there in Little Creek Elementary, then Ruffner Middle School as part of Young Scholars, and then in Norview as part of Leadership Center for the Sciences and Engineering. And then extracurriculars, I'm captain of the tennis team. I've also been captain of forensics. This year I wasn't able to do it because of a coach moving away, but also I was able to do Scholastic Bowl this year as a result, and then as well as Andrew, I'm also part of the National Honor Society, the Spanish Honor Society. And for career goals, I'd say I want to go into entrepreneurship and kind of venture as an angel investor, and then I plan to study at Stanford University in the fall.
Awesome, you guys both have great plans for the future. That's awesome. So what made you want to become a student representative for the school board, Andrew?
I just saw it as a great opportunity to expose myself to working with adults, working with problems and organizations and stuff like that, coming to consensus on ideas. And it actually helped me with some interview experience because I got a few interviews for the position. And so just knowing that it was going to be a great position to go into and is going to expose me and make connections with people for later on in life, I just saw it as a great opportunity, one that I couldn't pass up.
What about you, Arturo?
Well, my interest came from the previous year, during my junior year, I met Torian at one of the school board meetings, and during the citizens comment, I went up and spoke for the gifted students program, and he approached me afterwards, and he said he really wanted to talk to me about the ventures that I was doing as a high school student and what I was getting involved in, and seeing that there was a student that was also in high school in this position with these adults, these influential people, it also made me want to pursue it, because knowing that we as students do have a voice with the school board, that was something that I really wanted to pursue, because being someone who really does want to get perspective, and the student representative, the best place to get it, the perspective from every high school, and that's something I really wanted to obtain in my senior year, so in order to see what impact I could make along the way.
And Arturo, you actually served as the school board representative, and you
Yes,
were
I
the
did.
alternate for the times that he couldn't be there. So tell me about your role as a student school board representative.
Well, my role as a student representative it just had various opportunities that were available. The first one that came was first as student, being able to still stay in high school and engage in what I like to do during the school day, while also trying to balance and see what other students are getting involved in, what their goals are, what they would like to see NPS provide for them, whether it be in their freshman, sophomore, senior year, junior year. And just kind of to hear and advocate for the voices of the students. One of the things that I know Ms. Basine, one of the school board members, did approach me was about school times and seeing the school times increase. And so recently at a school board meeting, they were discussing this as well. And that's something that I'd like to see, because students were feeling strongly about having later school start times, and getting that voice, getting that opinion over to Ms. Basine was something that was important to me. And then also I was able to go to training sessions, meet with other student representatives, and see how they work in their districts and bring that over to mine. And so it's kind of like learning, giving and taking in both ends.
And for you, Andrew, you did get an opportunity to serve in that capacity at a particular board meeting. So tell me, about your role when you served.
Just like what Arturo said, I went to that one meeting and I got to sit up on the board. That's where Arturo usually gets to sit, so it's cool. I have a little placard up there and everything. And you just get to expose yourself to all the people's problems that they have, or suggestions that the people might have for the board. And as student representative, it's a special role to serve as a communicating point between both the school board and the students, because there's kind of a disconnect there sometimes. Like before the student representative was a thing in Norfolk Public Schools, students didn't really know a whole lot about the school board, and the school board knew about the students but didn't really talk back and forth. So we kind of serve as a meeting point between the two.
And that leads to my next question to Arturo. What surprised you the most about serving in this capacity?
It what surprised me the most of how how kind of like the relationship you can have with the school board members, because initially it did seem a little bit intimidating coming into the position, being around such influential people and who have had so much experience as school board members, and just finding out that they're so friendly. They made me feel welcome onto the school board. It made Andrew feel welcome into the school board. It just felt much less than a duty, more than something that I wanted to really take up and fulfill as my responsibility to the school board, because they really encouraged me to pursue what I wanted in the school board, whether it be offering opportunities, offering training, bringing me with them to events, and that all those opportunities that opened up really allowed me to know what exactly their goals are for the schools, the district, and then being able to provide that information back to the students as well, and then serve as that Lincoln's institution that Andrew mentioned earlier.
So what do you think surprised you the most about serving that capacity?
Unlike Arturo, I hadn't been to any board meetings before this year. I hadn't been a speaker at any of them. I hadn't just gone to them in general. And so for me, what surprised me was how many people actually go and how many people talk to the school board. I didn't know that the public addressed the school board that much. And so when I got there, it was pretty refreshing to see all these people come up to the podium and talk to the school board, tell them about their suggestions or any grievances they might have. And I think that's a great institution that we have, that we can have our public people come in and talk to the school board and tell them what they're feeling, so they can get a real world perspective instead of just a broad overview.
Right. Arturo, what did you enjoy the most about serving there?
I enjoyed being able to communicate with the school board members and actually take the ideas, as Andrew said, people would come up and present what our ideas or their concerns during the school board, and actually be able to look more into them, being able to speak with either Ms. Banks or Mr. Butts when it came after meetings and get more information on that topic, and being able to communicate with these individuals and then do my best to bring their concerns and bring more depth into them to the school board members, because at times it becomes difficult to be able to balance everything. So I'm able to serve as that additional voice and that extra advocacy that these people may need when they want some change when it comes to school board matters.
Yeah. Andrew, what did you enjoy the most?
Definitely some of what Arturo said, and for me it's big on the relationships I made and meeting all those school board members, because like he said, they're really nice people, and exposing yourself to these people and knowing their stories, not just their names on a little sign in everyone's front yard says vote for me. So getting to know these people and hearing their opinions, and they're all great opinions, and even if they differ, they still can come to compromises. And so I think that was a great thing for me to see, was people with good arguments for their own opinions coming to a consensus on what would be the best for the entire school board.
Well, Andrew, how will this experience help you with life after high school?
Well, like I said, the interview helps. I'm a little exposed to interviews, and I'm sure there's a lot to come, and I'll have to be prepared for them, and so it gave me a little taste of what that's going to be like. Forming connections with adults and being in adult situations, there's not a whole lot of opportunity for like adult situations like that in high school, so getting this huge opportunity to actually work with board members on an actual big organization like the Norfolk Public School Board, it was a pretty big deal for me. And so taking that experience of working with adults and seeing all those compromises, as I mentioned, and how people can come to consensus with each other, I think it was a great opportunity for me, and so I can apply that to later on in life.
All right, Arturo, how will this experience help you for life after high school?
Well, for me, given that I want to pursue entrepreneurship, the engaging with Dr. Boone and seeing as she's the superintendent of schools, it's very similar to how a CEO runs a company. And for me, seeing that perspective from her and how she has to balance so many objectives and how to balance budget, how to move in so many affairs of the school and how many facets there are to it, it helps me understand what it would be like to be a CEO, to be in charge of a company that's running over 1,500 employees at a time. And so being able to ensure that everyone is happy so that the whole system works together as one conglomerate rather than individual parts. And Dr. Boone does a wonderful job with that. And then working with Mr. Jordan and like just the other school board members, they really move like a machine. And that's something that I really wanted to see, because in my initial interview with her, that's something I was able to get a taste of, and then as student representative, I got to the full experience, and it just makes me more excited to pursue entrepreneurship and the business field as I want to.
So tell me, Andrew, what would you tell other students who are considering becoming a student school board representative?
Do it. It's a great opportunity. I met a lot of great connections. I met Arturo. He's a great kid, going to Stanford. And just the school board members and exposing myself to learning about how the public interacts with the school board and learning how issues can be solved and how it takes a lot of work to get a budget to make everybody happy, and usually it doesn't happen. So
Right.
exposing myself to that, knowing a little bit of the real world complications that come with running a big group of people, it's something that's second to none. And so an opportunity, like I said, doesn't come that often like this in high school, so take it while you can.
All right. What would you tell them, Arturo?
I would tell them that it's a voice. You get a voice, because I know previously I did not know that we could have an impact on school policy as a student. And I know a lot of students within the district are unaware of the work that the school board does to make NPS better, and the work that, like, the innovative ideas that they're bringing forward to make the district a much better place. And so as I've told the 2 students that applied for my school, Norview, to be student representatives, I told them that you have a voice. You have to serve as the voice of the students. And this is a moment for you to really put forward the leadership that you have been taught and that you have grown into. And this is kind of like a peak where you can get in high school to really help people on a wide scale. And so that's something that, as a student representative, you are able to make an impact and have an influence on what's going on, because you are not silent. The school board listens. The school board is aware of your needs and of the needs of the students, and they're always looking for new opportunities and new ideas to bring to the district.
Great. Well, thank you for your service as student school board representatives. I'm glad you had an awesome experience, and congratulations on graduating this year and your future endeavors. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or information you'd like to share, email us at nps_news@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.